Hey everybody, this is First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. It's a Monday night. We're keeping an eye on this storm system off to the north and west of us. You see the line of severe storms. The good news is all of the tornado watches have been allowed to expire or have been canceled early. You can see we're still getting some strong storms here across the lower Ohio Valley. And I'm keeping an eye on this front as it extends back down into Texas. And this is actually the area that I'm a little bit more concerned about when I start looking at the vorticity. This is the 500 millibar vorticity. This is the spin in the atmosphere. Kind of shows us where we have disturbances aloft, and you can see over northern Mexico moving into parts of Texas there's a disturbance there. This is going to be our wave of low pressure that's going to form on the southern part of this cold front. To the north, there's a wave up here over the Midwest, which has helped driving this front down to the south. But the big story really is, when you look at this, is the strong jet stream winds. You look at these jet stream winds, everywhere you see those white arrows, those are winds that are, approximately over 100, 120 knots. So very strong jet stream winds are interacting with this front, and these storms are mixing down those strong winds to the surface, producing damaging wind gusts right now. And you can see we're getting some damaging wind gusts right now in parts of Kentucky and southern parts of Indiana and Ohio. But you see all these white shades, 117 knot winds coming out of the southwest, and these strong winds eventually are going to move into parts of the Carolinas in about 24 hours. Now, as we take a look at what's going on as far as the Cape is concerned, this is basically the amount of instability we have in the atmosphere. And if you look at this, you see this plume of instability or cape. This is basically energy that's available for thunderstorms to feed off of. Keeping an eye to see if this plume is going to get up here into the Carolinas. As you look, we get a little bit of instability here tomorrow, but not a lot. Watch what happens though as we go into tomorrow night and into Wednesday. The big plume of moisture and heat moves up from the south, and it looks like most of the instability is going to be over parts of South Carolina and into eastern North Carolina. This is where we would likely have the biggest tornado threat tomorrow night into Wednesday, is anywhere this high Cape air gets in here, basically where the most moisture and heat will be moving in. And look how it peaks here late tomorrow. This is late Wednesday. This is Wednesday evening, south and east of I-85. I'll loop this all the way to the end, and you'll see it peaks here right across the PD region of South Carolina and into the coastal plain of North Carolina. So as you take a look at the NAM model, this is a model that shows simulated radar out into the future. We'll go out into the future, and you can see the front right here moving across the Ohio Valley. Watch what happens to it though. It kind of fizzles a little bit and stalls as this wave of low pressure down here in Texas begins to take over. Notice the big plume of storms moving up through Mississippi and Alabama. And this is actually where the action gets interesting, because down here you have that moisture-laden air, that's high instability air that's going to be moving up out of the Gulf of Mexico, and likely will have the largest capacity to produce damaging winds and possible tornadoes. You see as this progresses, we get some heavy rain into the Carolinas during the early morning hours on Wednesday, but watch what happens Wednesday evening into Thursday. Actually, we get a big slug of heavy moisture moving in. So there's a chance that that initial rain that comes in early in the day may stabilize things over most of the Piedmont of North Carolina and into the foothills, and may give us a break. For tomorrow, we've already got a slight risk across most of the lower Mississippi River Valley, but notice that the general thunderstorm trend or thunderstorm outlook shifts up here into eastern Tennessee and parts of western North Carolina. So let's put on some of our model data. We can look at reflectivity here from the NAM model first. We'll look at reflectivity out into the future. Let me turn all this off. And the first thing you're going to see is the forecasted radar from the NAM. This is out to tomorrow morning. Notice that most of the rain is in Kentucky and Tennessee. As we got even further, notice a little bit of rain begins to develop in the mountains tomorrow, but we don't really see much rain on Tuesday. It's really on Wednesday that we begin to see most of the rain move in as the system kind of gets its act together and moves in our direction. So that's just kind of a brief look at what's likely going to be heading our way tomorrow. This front into the mountains first, and then eventually into the Piedmont on Wednesday. Right now, I'm a little bit more optimistic that we won't see anything widespread severe-wise, but something to keep an eye on as we go into your Wednesday forecast. Of course, I'll have complete details tonight at 11 and starting all day Tuesday on Facebook, Twitter, and on air.